It's been an incredible month, and Will and I have had to travel tons for work, but still always make time for the hobby. And in today's video, we're going to take you through it all. Whether it was building Will's 250 monster aquarium, or moving some of our biggest and most prized cichlids, to visiting out-of-state local fish stores, and getting to sit down with Troy from the Cichlid Brothers. This month has been crazy, and we hope you enjoy today's video.
So the first thing that triggered this tank was I actually lost my Oscar. We talked about that in a couple of videos ago, but the Oscar is my longest fish I've had. Had him from a baby, had him about 8 years, and he passed away of natural causes. So, you know, once the Oscar was gone, it opened up possibilities for this tank. And, you know, Mike and I sat around and, you know, we talked about different things and different options we wanted to go with. And finally we settled on, hey, let's put some aggressive cichlids together that you normally don't see in the same tank, and let's see if we can make it happen. So we, by process of elimination between our two houses, we walked around, looked at the red tiger motor, looked at the electric blue Texas, as well as Mike's other red terror that he had, the male that he had to separate from with the female. And then we were just like, hey, maybe this is where we're gonna start with. So the first thing we did was try to decide on the substrate. Mike had used the Caribsea Peace River, and I actually loved the way it looked in his 125 gallons, so I decided to order some. It came in, and I was trying to be very meticulous about this tank, about trying to find the right decorations to put in there, the decor to put in, so that we did it one-stop shop, set it up, and was happy with it from the beginning, from that. So we took a ride up to London Town Tropic. Mike was looking for a green terror to house with his red terror, and while I was in there, I found this wonderful piece of driftwood that went perfectly with two other pieces I already had at my house.
Yeah, so I just wanted to jump in real quick, and one of the things that Will and I noticed from the 250 gallon when he had it on a black substrate is we loved the color when he had the black substrate. And as he kind of tinkered with the tank, he took a large piece of driftwood that was kind of U-shaped, and it had what kind of created a cave. And what we noticed real quick is once the Oscar died and it changed the dynamic and it changed the hierarchy in the aquarium, the aggression in the aquarium changed. So we had a black belt, a very large black belt that we're trying to get sent out to one of our good friends right now. That became the tank boss, and he became so aggressive that we had to get him out of there. So Will temporarily took that black belt out, housed him in a 75 gallon, plenty of space, made sure that he was taken care of. And then what we started to notice is when he left, the red tiger motor that always, you know, demonstrated a certain level of peace, he was never aggressive. The red tiger motor became aggressive. And when Will and I got to talking, I was like, we both looked at it and we were like, it has to be something in there. And what we deduced was it was the territory. And so when we went up to London Town Tropicals, Will started looking around and found what he thought was the ideal piece, and I'd have to agree with him. He had these two other large pieces of spider wood, got those put into the tank, bought the third piece, which completed the aquarium. It breaks up the line of sight. There really is no territory for any of these fish, and it does help with manage the aggression. I'm sure you see behind you that there's a little bit of aggression that goes on, but it's just little chases and nips here and there. And he got the silver dollar to also work as dithers. So the aquarium came out great. It was, and for me personally, I told Will this several times. Like, he used to come to my house and look at my African cichlid tank, and he would say stuff like, man, I'm jealous of that aquarium. And one thing about both of us is neither one of us really have a need to be jealous, because we do this together and we enjoy it together. We share fish, we do everything together. So when he would say that, I know how he feels now, because I come over to his house and I look at this 250 gallon aquarium, and it's by far my favorite aquarium between both of our homes. I mean, the mix of fish that's in there is perfect. The activity is perfect. The decor is perfect, in my opinion. And we look forward to kind of doing things like this in the future with other aquariums. So when you see some of the 40 gallons, 75 gallons that house one fish, the ultimate goal is not to keep them for the duration of their lives in those smaller aquariums, but the goal is to come up with other aquariums like this 250 gallon.
So yeah, the best part about this tank is that doing this build was we didn't really have to start from ground zero with filtration. with heaters and none of that, because we reused everything that was already in there. So we're still triple filtrated tanks on here. We also still have the Title 110 on top for the fine polishing. The only additions to this tank were this tank never had air stones in it, so I actually added two, as you can see up in my top corners here, hung them up there, fixed them with suction cups where they were not down in the sand, just hung them at the top just to give extra oxygenation to the water. And we actually changed the lights on this tank just so we can play with it and we can have better adjustments on this tank to fine tune with all the different colors of the fish in there.
Yeah, this tank, Will decided to change. He went with the Fluval 3.0 planted lights on this aquarium. And then one thing I think is important to highlight about the air stones that he's affixed to the back of the aquarium, when the room is well lit like this, you can see the air stones, and for some people that might be something that is not what preferred, but for both me and Will, when we come down into the fish rooms, a lot of times the lights are off, and when the lights are off and what I like to call the aquariums are kind of in gallery mode, those air stones are not visible. So when you put the lights towards the front center of the aquarium, you can hide a lot of the equipment in the back when you're trying to view it in a little bit less lit area.
I agree. And that's been one thing that's been a bonus for me, adding the air stones. What I've noticed from my other tanks and I took away from it is that I noticed the clarity of my water as well as the quality of the fish improved a little better just by adding more oxygenation to it. And like we always say, what works for us may not work for you. It's just something we found that we liked. And like Mike said, for some people it's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it works for our setups that we currently have right now.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing to highlight, I know at my house, and Will's got a very similar setup down here, is I run the air stones on an UPS separate from the wave maker and the filtration, because at very worst, when the power goes out, it doesn't take much power to run the air stones, and at least that way we can keep the tanks oxygenated. So for those short durations where the power goes out, the heater may go off, but at very worst, if you're providing oxygen to the tank, your fish will be able to do well. So it's just something to keep in mind. So immediately following Will's construction of this 250-gallon aquarium, I was on a last-minute work trip, headed up to Milwaukee, and when I got to Milwaukee, I was like, man, I'm only an hour away from Chicago. Let me see if I can get up with Troy from the Cichlid Brothers and maybe just sit down, talk fish, just see what he had going on. But unfortunately, Troy was busy. It was last minute. We weren't able to, get that done. But what he did do is recommend a couple fish stores while I was in the Milwaukee area for me to check out. So I went to Aquatics Unlimited and I went to the Fish Factory. Two fish stores that I definitely would recommend. They were great. The customer service, everything about the ambiance, especially going over to Aquatics Unlimited, which we didn't even know at the same time that I was up there doing a kind of a fish tour, Will was ordering Jaguar cichlids from the very same store. But let me just go through real quick and talk about that fish store. When you walk in, I mean, as soon as you walk in, you can tell the aquariums are beautiful, immaculate. They've got both fresh salt and pond sections. They've got some beautiful African cichlids, South and Central American cichlids, discus. And what Will and I were interested in at the time is every fish store I've been going into lately, I've been looking for tinfoil barbs, because right now, with the goal in mind in this 250-gallon aquarium and some that are similar, just trying to add some activity to both of our aquariums. Will's added the silver dollars, thought maybe 3 to 4 tinfoil barbs could help work as dithers in this aquarium as well, adds a little bit more activity. I've looked at adding some tinfoil barbs in some of my aquariums. So it was nice getting up there and seeing that fish store. Highly recommend that. Then I headed over to the Fish Factory and got nothing but good things. It's a little bit smaller store. They have a little bit less in stock, but all of their aquariums are pristine. They've got great music, great ambiance. The staff is great and knowledgeable. They've got a planted section. So it was another store that I just wanted to quickly highlight. Really enjoyed my time in Milwaukee, and anytime I'm in the area, I'll definitely be checking those out. And then right after my trip to Milwaukee, I had to go right back out the door, and this time I went to Chicago. And thankfully, Troy was free, and him and I had the ability to sit down and put something on film. So look out for that video.
So prior to Mike going to Chicago, we actually sat down and had a conversation about some changes that we both felt we need to make within our fish rooms. The Black Nasty over Nino over at Mike's house, he really was outgrowing that 125-gallon tank. Over at my house, I had some fish that I really wanted to move around because I wanted to kind of personalize the fish room a little more, and also wanted to get my blue umbi into its forever home so it can grow out and become my wet pet and hopefully turn out the way Nino did. So we talked about all those things. Mike went to Chicago. He came back and we decided, hey, it's Labor Day weekend. We both have 4 days off. Let's go ahead and put this into action. And that's exactly what we did. I broke down one of my 150-gallon tanks here at my house, and we decided to move it to Mike's house. And the best part about Mike and I being in this hobby together is we can actually, between the both of our houses, we can rotate tanks around the same way we rotate fish around to ensure our fish have the best quality of life, as you can say it. So that's what we started out with. And then while we were moving tanks, I told Mike I wanted to make some adjustments within my fish room to kind of highlight some of the untalked about fish, which is Lake Tanganyika tank over here. So we decided to move that 125 in here, shift my 150 over, put the blue umbi there. So now in the fish room, I have this beautiful 250-gallon Central and South American mixed tank. I have the Mbuna tank, my wet pet on the blue umbi, and we have the Lake Tanganyika tank over here. And then out on the outside, I decided to move the 125 that we brought from Mike's house, and we moved the Cuban, the Jack Dempsey's, the Red Devils, along with, we decided to go ahead and take a chance and put in the Yellow Jacket, the Beanie Cichlid, and the Meso Heroes. We just wanted to see if we can actually get that tank mini set up the way this tank is. And so far, they have been doing great together.
Yeah, that 125-gallon, we do realize, has a lot of fish that have the ability to get to really large sizes. So like I said earlier, Will and I's plan, if you can't tell, or you're new to the channel, our plan is always to make sure that we're providing the best space and the maximum amount of space for these fish to be healthy and grow. So that 125-gallon is serving as a grow out right now. It does have all those fish, beautiful fish that Will talks about. But as they grow, we'll reappropriate tanks. We've already got a plan with 75 gallons and 40 gallons of what fish will go where, what fish will end up having to probably rehome. But for right now, that 125 gallons is serving as a grow out so that we can make sure, one, it's working. Like, it's a peaceful tank right now. There's no aggression in it. The fish are all at sizes where they can coexist, but we do recognize that at some point we're going to definitely have to move the Yellow Jacket. We're going to definitely have to remove the Red Devil cichlids as they get big enough to where 125 gallons is really built for them by themselves. So we are making changes, but with all the changes we make, we do have plans, and we want to put that out there that we're not going to overcrowd tanks or put the fish in a position where they're going to harm themselves. So what it took, let me just talk about the process of what it took us to get those, to make all these moves happen. So what we did first is Will drove over to my house. When he came over to my house, I had already drained and emptied the 125 gallon of all of its substrate water, taken all the equipment off, had it ready to go. So came in, took that aquarium out, loaded it onto his truck. Pretty easy. What we did notice in transit was, unfortunately, maybe when I was removing the substrate from the aquarium, I peeled some of the silicone off, and he had a small leak in the upper left-hand corner. So what he did first when he got over here is he reapplied silicone to that end, water tested it, made sure it was good to go before he set it back up. So once we got the 125 gallon over here, that was when he had already broken down his 150 gallon, removed all the substrate, had the fish in a bucket like I had Nino in a little tote with air being provided to it while we made the move. He had done all the same things I did with the 125 with his 150. So that way when we got the 125 here, my brother-in-law and Will loaded that thing on the truck, brought the 150 back to my house, and that kind of gave us the ability for the rest of the day where Will went back home, worked on setting up his fish room. I stayed at my house working on the 150 gallon and getting Nino resituated as quickly as I possibly could, and that was the process. So what we decided to go with in Nino's tank is I went with a larger black and white rock. I'm kind of I kind of regret getting the white rock, because had I just stuck with black like I planned to, his color probably would have been a little bit darker. But I like it at the same time because the lighting in the aquarium is a little bit brighter. It allows me to see them and visual, and so it's give and take. But I really am enjoying this aquarium. I minimized the decor by putting the black rock in there. I prevent him from spitting the finer sand into the intake of the filter because he's a real digger. So just some little changes for him, but he's really enjoying that 150 gallon.
And then over at my house for the blue umbi tank, we decided to repurpose a piece of driftwood that used to be in this 250 gallon, the piece that we talked about a little earlier. Instead of setting it up upside down, I mean the right way up where it had a territory that he could just stay out of sight and hide in, we put it upside down where it's kind of like an upside down U. So it's sitting flat. There's nowhere for him to actually hide. So that way we're forcing him to be able to swim down and stay out where we can actually visualize and see him. So it worked out great with that. We went minimal, kept the same sand that was in there, but we have another change for that tank coming. So just like this Peace River that's back here behind us, we decided we're gonna try out the Peace River because what I've noticed with the blue umbi, he goes great on light sand as well as on dark sand or dark substrate. His color stays the same. It's very vibrant and very strong. So with the Peace River, what that's gonna do is gonna help with the lighting, so he actually shimmers a little better in the water, and it just creates a better quality overall look for us.
Well, that pretty much sums up why it's been difficult to create content. But Will and I are never not talking fish, and we're always coming up with new ideas as to what's next in our fish rooms. It's been an incredible past month, and we've got so much more in store over the next few, so stay tuned. We hope that you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and until next time, be safe.